Most people arrive in Singapore expecting a city of skyscrapers, luxury shopping, and futuristic architecture. They expect efficiency, cleanliness, and some of the most famous landmarks in Asia. Those expectations are not wrong. The problem is that many visitors never look beyond them. As a result, countless travelers leave believing they have experienced Singapore when they have really only experienced a small part of it. The city they remember is often the version found on postcards and travel brochures. The real surprise is what happens when you move beyond the famous attractions. A very different side of Singapore begins to emerge. Most first-time visitors start at Marina Bay. It is one of the most recognizable cityscapes in the world and an obvious place to begin. The skyline is impressive both during the day and after dark. Every angle seems designed to leave a lasting impression. Yet Marina Bay is only the introduction. The deeper story of Singapore begins elsewhere. A short distance away, entire neighborhoods reveal a completely different atmosphere. The pace slows down and the city feels far more personal. One of the best examples is Kampong Glam. While many tourists rush through for photographs, those who spend time there discover one of Singapore's most fascinating cultural districts. Colorful streets, independent shops, and local cafes create an experience that feels completely different from the polished business districts. The contrast surprises many first-time visitors. This is one of the reasons Singapore becomes more interesting the longer you stay. Every new district feels like a different chapter of the same story. The same thing happens in Chinatown. Most visitors arrive expecting restaurants and souvenir stores, but quickly discover a neighborhood filled with history and character. Traditional buildings stand beside modern businesses. The old and the new exist together in a way that feels uniquely Singaporean. Walking through these streets reveals something important. Singapore is not simply a futuristic city, but a place where many cultures continue shaping daily life. Little India offers another perspective entirely. The sounds, colors, aromas, and energy create an atmosphere unlike almost anywhere else in the city. Many travelers leave wondering how three neighborhoods located so close together can feel so different. That diversity becomes one of Singapore's greatest strengths. The city rewards curiosity. The more willing visitors are to explore, the more interesting the experience becomes. This becomes even more apparent when travelers move beyond the central districts. Suddenly, Singapore starts revealing places that many visitors never knew existed. One of the most surprising examples is Pulau Ubin. Just a short boat ride away, it feels like stepping into a completely different era. The modern skyline disappears. In its place are quiet roads, traditional village life, and natural landscapes that many travelers never associate with Singapore. For visitors expecting only urban experiences, the contrast is remarkable. It challenges everything they thought they knew about the country. Nature continues playing a larger role than many tourists expect. Singapore may be famous for development, but it is equally impressive for how much greenery exists within the city. The southern ridges provide one of the best examples. Elevated walkways connect parks and green spaces while offering spectacular views of the surrounding landscape. Walking here feels very different from exploring the downtown area. The city suddenly feels quieter and more relaxed. Gardens by the Bay receives most of the attention. Yet many visitors discover that some of Singapore's most memorable outdoor experiences happen away from its most famous attractions. This pattern repeats throughout the country. The places that create the strongest memories are often the places travelers nearly skipped. Another example is Joo Chiat And Katong. These neighboring districts reveal a side of Singapore that many visitors never experience. Colorful heritage buildings line the streets. Traditional culture and modern life blend together in a way that feels authentic rather than staged. Walking through these neighborhoods feels less like sightseeing and more like discovery. Travelers often leave with a much deeper appreciation of Singapore's cultural identity. The experience is not built around famous landmarks. Instead, It is built around atmosphere, history, and everyday life. This is where many repeat visitors spend their time. They are often searching for experiences rather than attractions. The difference is important. Attractions create photographs, but experiences often create lasting memories. Many travelers discover this when exploring Singapore after dark. Away from the famous skyline, entirely different experiences begin to emerge. Local food districts become gathering places. Neighborhood streets take on a completely different character. The atmosphere feels more relaxed and personal. Visitors begin seeing how residents experience the city once the workday ends. This perspective reveals another side of Singapore. The city feels less like a destination and more like a living community. The same realization often happens in local markets and neighborhood centers. These places reveal rhythms of daily life that many tourists never encounter. People gather, socialize, shop, and eat. Everyday life becomes part of the travel experience. This is often where visitors begin feeling connected to the city. The distance between traveler and destination starts disappearing. Many first-time visitors are surprised by how much nature exists here. The assumption is that Singapore is almost entirely urban. The reality is far more complex. Nature reserves, coastal areas, and green corridors exist throughout the country. Exploring these places creates a completely different travel experience. The city skyline feels very far away, despite often being only a short distance from view. This contrast becomes one of Singapore's most remarkable qualities. Few destinations combine urban development and natural spaces so successfully. As travelers continue exploring, they often notice another surprise. Singapore feels larger than its physical size suggests. Not because of distance, because every district, neighborhood, and environment offers something different. A traveler can experience modern architecture in the morning. By afternoon, they may be exploring heritage districts, nature trails, or local food centers. That variety keeps the destination feeling fresh. Every day introduces another perspective. This helps explain why repeat visitors often speak differently about Singapore than first-time tourists. They have moved beyond the famous attractions. Many return specifically for the neighborhoods. Others return for the food, culture, or atmosphere. Some return because Singapore serves as a gateway to Asia. Others return because they genuinely enjoy the destination itself. Over time, visitors begin understanding that Singapore's greatest strength may not be any single attraction. It may be the way so many different experiences exist within such a compact country. Modernity becomes more impressive because it exists beside history. Urban development becomes more impressive because it exists beside nature. Cultural diversity becomes more meaningful because it remains visible throughout everyday life. Together, these qualities create a destination unlike almost anywhere else. This is why so many travelers leave with a different impression than they expected. The city consistently reveals more depth than first impressions suggest. The famous attractions remain worth visiting. They simply represent the beginning rather than the entire story. Those willing to keep exploring often discover the most rewarding experiences. The Singapore they remember at the end of the journey is very different from the Singapore they imagined before arriving. In the end, Singapore's most incredible places are not necessarily the ones that dominate travel advertisements. They are the places that reveal the country's personality, diversity, culture, and character. Those are the places most tourists miss, and they are often the places travelers remember long after the trip is over.